Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the showdown between Kislev and the Vampire Counts. It's going to be the Tsarina facing off against Vlad von Karstein. Should be quite a bit of fun. It is going to be a ton of Kossars, as well as a tech piece that I actually really like in this matchup. Now, the Ice Guard with the Glaives, I feel are pretty good. They, of course, do magic damage and hit pretty hard with their bows, but they also have anti-large and armor piercing. So if things like Cryptors, Black Knights, Vargeists, or even if they have to fight Graveguard and melee, they can actually do pretty well. If you look at their stat line, it's really not bad. 32, 40, anti-large, armor piercing, and I believe their armor piercing values are pretty high. Yeah, you could see 28 with 20 total armor piercing. Anyways, it's a very kind of bow-centric style of play. In the front line, we do have two Tsarguard, and these guys are really good at holding. I think the shielded variant is better against undead, even though the great weapons might be arguably a little bit stronger against like Graveguard. I think it's more important that your front line holds and your back line can shoot than your front line doing a little bit more damage and then buckling and your back line, getting pushed. So, two shielded Tsarguard in the front. Pretty good at dealing with chaff. I believe they would lose to a Graveguard Great Weapon, but they put up a good fight even with the shields. Now, the Great Weapon would of course beat Graveguard, but they have access to healing and all sorts of scary stuff. Kossars with spears in the second row. Kossars with spears all over the place. I think it's a combination of both. Yeah, we have spears and basic variants, and then double Ice Guard Glaives in the back. These ladies are ready to party, and they are going to be unleashing some firepower on the undead. Now for the forces here of Ye Old Undead, it's going to be the Great Subutai backed up with Vlad von Karstein, Zombies into the Sunset, Necromancer stroking Forbidden Rods, all the stuff that you know and love. Obviously, probably the one thing that's a little bit different is the Lord choice, but Vlad isn't bad here. He's extremely tough to kill. For example, if there was like a big flying Lord, on a dragon or something, Kislev can frostbite them, you can slow them, and then you can cast Ice Sheet on them, and you can really focus fire them pretty heavily, whereas Vlad is going to be a little bit of a tougher target. So I do like that tech. Obviously, you're trading something, because Vlad himself, though he's more durable, he can't quite get everywhere compared to like a flying Vampire Lord who could really drop zombies and get better Winds of Death angles and whatnot. But Vlad is still very much a menace. You can see currently Subutai sitting at 29 Winds of Magic, and his reserves are higher than mine, and that's from the Forbidden Rods. I'm at 19 and 61. Really good value for sure. So up on the high ground, I'm like, okay, we're just going to be grabbing the objective. We do get the Kossovite Dervishes, grabbing that bad boy. Now down on the low ground here, we do have Ye Old Tsarguard moving up, so we can do some fast forwarding here as the armies aren't super swift. Katarin's also on foot. She's pretty good on foot in this matchup. She's harder to snipe for SCMs, and in my experience, she's great here because on foot, a lot of people don't know this about her, but she actually surfs on ice. So she has 46 movement speed because of her ice skates. Whereas most foot characters and casters would have speed in the 30s. She's actually really quick and can outrun Vlad, who's a vampire, on 46 speed. So the ice helps her surf around and get those good engagements. Up on the high ground, like I said, capturing with the Kossovite Dervishes. Reinforcements for both sides. It's going to be skeletons, zombies, all the chaff that you know and love. And for my reinforcement so far, it has been Streltsy. I figured I needed something that could shoot Vlad, a little bit of hard punch. So I do have two Streltsy in reserve. The first one has been summoned, and the second one is going to be popping out here in just a moment. So going for the early triple cap, a lot of undead players, demon players, so they'll let you cap initially and they'll gather like an alpha strike force. So they'll try and get a little bit, as much as they can possibly squeeze out before they push, and then they'll just go with this huge stack. It's not an uncommon tactic, but he does yield the cap here, which I was very happy about. I'm like, okay, I actually prefer to be on the other side of things. I don't like to be the one having to chase back. So Streltsy get a nice shot into the Necromancer, which is good because he's going to be stroking his Forbidden Rod, but that will mean he can't stroke it quite as much because obviously it's going to, it damages them. So it does mitigate potentially all three charges they want to see. Zombies and skeletons moving up, just getting shots with my Kossars, and the Tsarguard will be rushing over to fight these skeletons, and they have pretty good DPS, 36 and weapon strength and 34 melee attack, so they can put some hurt on these guys. And the Tsarguard are going to be moving into the front, and their job is just to hold and be badass. And I have to say, after playing just a ton of Empire, it's definitely a relief to play a faction that has like a ton of staying power. Like the Empire is just so flimsy. Now here we do get a big Ice Sheet. Ice Sheet's going to be hitting everything. It's good, triggers the lore passive, which gives us some buffs to your units, although I don't know if I brought that. Maybe I didn't this time around. But it does slow them down and allows my bows to shoot in. So you can see we're getting good concave fire, melting some units, but the Vampire Counts will be taking the objective here. The far side we're going to try and hold on to, and big charge coming in from the Griffin Legion. Or the Tsarina. There they go. Big one, hammering into the skeletons. Huge damage most likely. Yeah, it already does about 30-40% damage. And in sustained combat, they're not bad. They have 40 weapon strength, basically Reichsguard Knights. Now, Winds of Death's going to be going down. Beautiful cast by Subutai, and that does hit my Streltsy and also my Kossars here. So that's pretty painful, and that's why Vampires were so strong. You can see even after doing that, his current wins pool is just still super high, right? So he's going to be able to just keep casting Winds of Death all day. So really, I have to make a better effort to make sure I'm not blobbed up like that. Now, over here, we are shooting at the Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone, getting some good firepower and focusing down the Graveguard Great Weapons. The Ice Guard are shooting them. And even though, they do have armor, it's still volume of fire is worth it against these units. Now, this is why I like Tsarina, though. She's a pretty good fighter. You can see her stats are really good. And using the ice kind of blast spell Frostfang, her item, on top of these infantry, these zombies and Graveguard actually did a lot of damage to the point where the Zargard probably will win that. The bows are really getting good concave fire, but honestly, Subutai is trading pretty evenly with me, and I was really shocked, but during the game, I actually didn't see that Winds of Death, so that makes a little bit more sense. Now, Heart of Winter is going to be going down, an amazing spell. That's going to be hitting all these units, including Vlad. Doesn't do much damage to him, but the Heart of Winter will help to melt down these Graveguard, hopefully, and another unit of Graveguards in the open, and as soon as you see anything in the open here, you have to get those Kossars, and you have to just start shooting into them and really, really melting them. Ice Sheet going down, but another Winds of Death, but I did see that one, thankfully, so I do get a partial dodge. The Ice Guard Glaives are going to be getting away from that, and the Griffin Legion has pulled back, and now we got to deal with the heavy hitters. The Cryptors have moved in, so all the shooting's going to be going into the Cryptors, which just have so much HP, they're raid bosses, and meanwhile, Griffin Legion's going to be chilling out. And this is why this playstyle of like the checkerboard formation works really well with Kislev, is because even their Kossars have really decent base leadership, the same as State Troopers, and they also are unbreakable for 30 seconds when they get a little bit beat up. Now, Zombie Summon's going to be going down, very annoying. It's basically a minute and a half of zombies you have to deal with, and a mistake on my part, I was shooting at Vlad a little bit, so need to change my targets, and Zarina's going to be hustling away. Ice Sheet going down, putting him down to 30 speed to make sure he doesn't catch me. And here you can see that the Zargard are able to kick the butt of these Graveguard great weapons. At a bit of a cost, they took some damage. In reinforcements, I do have more Zargard on their way up, and my opponent going to be summoning in Cryptors as well as Skeletons. A lot of scary units in reserve. But nonetheless, focusing down Corpse Guards, trying to get rid of the supporting elements. More Ice Guards coming in. I did bring a third Ice Guard with swords. They're pretty good at actually pushing things off objectives with their bonus force infantry, like zombies and chaff. So I like that quite a bit. And my Zargard here finally buckled, but these guys were just true Chads. They were being attacked by like 4 units, still managed to accrue 600 value, and they really, really held the point. In the meantime, Cryptor's back here, close to crumbling, but can't quite get them. And the lines of Kislev are holding against the Vampiric Onslaught as the Ice Guard Glaives unleashing a torrent of fire here into the Corpse Guard with the Unholy Lodestone. But the big boys are on their way back in. Cryptors constantly on their way with healing. They have 1,000 more HP than Chaos Spawn for 100 gold less. They regenerate, they're faster. Very, very scary unit. So they're going to be piling in, but thankfully for me, into Kossar Spears. Kossar Spears will actually do decent damage against them. We pop another Ice Sheet to make sure the vampires can't accelerate into my formation. And big damage into the Cryptors. I really, really love this wide style of shooting, and if you guys are Dwarf players, you do the exact same thing. Instead of Kossars or Zargard in the front, you bring Blasting Charges, then you go Mass Corlers, Bugman's Rangers, and Thunders, and this playstyle works very, very well. Granted, still, I would say this matchup's favored for the Vampire counts, but it just goes to show that this playstyle does work, and Kislev is able to kind of pull it off. But even still, I mean, I'm pushed. He does have a pretty good capture weight. This objective's gone to him, although the Zargard survived and they moved back up, so I might be able to get that one again. Up on the high ground objective, he was able to buckle me off using the Dire Pack. I had some skirmishers up there, some horsemen, some dervishes, so I have to summon in some Zargard, which will be able to kind of take that objective most likely. But very scrappy fight. We've been pushed back. Vlad von Karstein just basically waddling around the battlefield looking for fights. He could attack Streltsy. Whatever he hits is going to be nasty. He does hit pretty hard, and Vlad did get a buff to his armor piercing in the previous game in Warhammer 2. He didn't used to have armor piercing. He was pretty haggard, but he did get it, so now he's definitely a force of nature. Von Hills is going down. He's trying to catch Katarin, but it's not quite enough. She was able to slow him down with Ice Sheet, so she still does have the speed advantage, as it does kind of counteract that. In the back, we've got Dervishes coming in. Dervishes going to be fighting Dire Pack. And, you know, these Ice Guard Glaives, even though they're anti-large, they still have really high melee defense, and they can actually fight off the Dire Pack very, very efficiently. And every time I bring Ice Guard, people are always like kind of giving me some grief for it. They're like, these units aren't very good. But I honestly have had some really good experiences with them. Not in every matchup. Obviously, factions that can, you know, bombard them from a distance or outrange them, things like that. But in general, I think they're pretty good against like a lot of the undead Tomb Kings type factions. Maybe not Tomb Kings as much, because Tomb Kings just has so many shielded infantry, which is problematic. So I'm being forced back here. This is actually very stressful. You can see the Ice Guard are on the run, the Streltsy are on the run, being chased by Cryptors. I can't quite get the middle back, but we're starting to get some momentum here. We see the Corpse Cart go down. Zombies and Skeletons are on their way out as well. Zargard cutting through them like butter. Here we get the Kossovite Dervishes with a favorable trade into the Dire Pack, and up on the high ground, I should have the capture weight advantage here, as the we should be able to push back the critical. So the Zargard will be on the hunt, looking for those guys in just a second. On the other side, Zargard 14 models, probably need to unsummon those, a little bit of sloppy control on my own. But here we almost get the objective, but Skeletons will be coming up. Skeletons now have the expendable trait, so basic infantry do have more capture weight than them. You can see I still even have more capture weight despite my low numbers, but it's still 73 models, which is good. It's how it should be. Skeletons are just, you know, a chaff unit. They're expendable. But the Griffin Legion, man, they are just going all day. 265 kills, still not paying for themselves. Mostly zombies and chaff, but, you know, taking out that much chaff is certainly good. In the backfield, though, Cryptors now going to be facing their counter. I get an Ice Sheet down on these guys, slowing him down, and the Bear Riders get in, and with their anti-large bonus, man, oh man, they're going to be going to town against these guys. And I love any excuse to use Warbear Riders. They are just one of the coolest units, and these Cryptors are going to be getting smashed by these bad boys. Hopefully, we'll have to see. Kossovite Dervishes on their way up. Ice Guard Glaives fighting valiantly on the point. And this is, again, why Ice Guard are good. They run out of ammo, and they're pretty fighty. They're going to be drawing their bowstrings, ripping a shot into the Cryptors, but I think they do opt to go into melee there, and they'll be good against both these units. Skeleton Warrior shouldn't do too great. We do have Zargard backing him up, and Vampire counts, I think, in terms of magic, they're very low. I mean, he still has 14 reserves and 4 wins, but that's not going to be enough for like a big Winds of Death on those units, and I figured he was out at this point. I noticed his spells were kind of calming down a little bit, and those Bear Riders actually already crumped a unit of Cryptors. So we get the side objective. The top objective is a little bit precarious. A very good play from my opponent here. He is going to be summoning in the Devils of Schwarzhofen. And these bad boys are going to be jumping on the Zargard, and they just have tons of armor piercing. It's just a bad fight for me. So honestly, this fight is a bit of a doom situation. But we still get the double cap on the bottom, and I do have the point, not point lead, but we're pretty damn close on points. And he does have that far point here, the middle point, but I'm on my way to capturing it. The Zargard and the Ice Guard Glaives really sustainable. Kosovo Dervishes pushing up, and in the back, you know, the Vampires are starting to run out of steam as well. Like I said, these Ice Guard with the swords, good at cutting through zombies. They don't have good armor piercing in melee, unfortunately, so they won't really do a lot of damage against Vlad, but if they can kill the zombies and move up, I'll be pretty happy about that. Warbear Riders getting a little bit of a cheeky charge here into the Graveguard Great Weapons. They do kill about 7 models, but going to be retreating back at this point and just attacking the Graveguard Great Weapons with Kosovo Dervishes, which is going to be a losing fight pretty badly. But I just want to hold them off the objective and buy some time. In the meantime, the Warbear Riders going to be circling around the back, looking to get a good fight against the Cryptors, so hopefully they're going to be able to do it. So the Bears of Kislev are going to be riding. Here they go for Urson. Here they go. Big fight. Big damage. Cryptors going to be falling left and right against these bad boys, especially when sandwiched by the Dervishes on the other side. So they will be crumbling now, but crumbling damage barely does anything. I think Cryptors actually out-heal crumbling, which is really stupid. So they're able to just not care about that at all. And the Devils are going to be on their way down, and that's going to be really bad for my Bears, like a big armor-piercing unit getting a charge on them, but hopefully they'll still put up a good fight. And the middle objective is now ours. Vampires coming in with Spearmen, as well as just basic skeletons. We got Dire Pack and more skeletons on their way in. And over here, my Griffin Legion, these guys have just been such chads this game. Even though they didn't quite pay for themselves, their value and just clearing things off has been great. Ice Guard and Streltsy and more Kossars. We should be able to shoot these undead off the objective before they capture it, so that's the game plan. Now in the backfield, swords freeing up. Kossars a little bit beat up. Vlad von Karstein has been a menace. 2100 value from those Winds of Death. As far as his current reserves, he's only got 2. Like, the Necromancers have come back, so they're probably going to start Forbidden Rod spamming again, which is going to be problematic. And the Warbear Riders just get swans. Cryptors, Vargeist all over them. I don't know if they got their value back. Yeah, they've done okay. I would say they've been pretty disruptive. They did force a big allocation of resources. And, you know, the one thing they did is they took away the pressure on the high ground objective, right? Because the Vargeist were forced to go deal with them, which then allowed some Kosovo Dervishes with their charge bonus of 40 to come in here with the remnants of the Zargard, who are just absolute linebackers. And they were able to then deal with these guys, which gives me the objective, right? I'm probably going to get this. I don't see any Vampire units coming. Value trading's very even. I'm down by about 500. So the Vampires do have a little bit more value on the battlefield, but I would say positionally, it's a little bit better for myself. I have a good core of units here. Zarina's still, you know, rolling around on her ice skates. Top objective should be going to us as soon as these Cryptors do kind of crumble and die out. And now we're going to be sending more Kossars up here to really reinforce this position, because a lot of the Vampires' army is very slow. It's going to have to waddle, and while it's waddling around the battlefield is the time when I come back in value. So more Streltsy on their way. Unfortunately, a zombie summon's going to be blockading them for another 15 seconds. Ice Guard with swords and Kossars on their way up. You can see some of the doggos. The Dire Pack going to be moving up to the high ground. We'll see if I end up getting this objective. I can't quite remember actually how it went down. And Vampires are planning for the long game. I do have 1,017 points, and they have 986, so it's a pretty close game. We're both within, you know, 50 points of one another, so this could certainly go either way depending on the objectives. And down on the low ground, the shooting of Kislev packing a big punch here against ye old Graveguard. So those Graveguard Great Weapons are getting the business from the armor piercing. And Zarina is going to go in with her good stats. I mean, 50 melee attack, 400 weapon strength. She's no joke. You saw it in the trailer. She fights the Bloodthirster. Oh, what kind of attack animation does she have? Okay, she gets up on ice. She shoots some ice shards. She sinks down to fight it on its level. And now she's going to be doing some sort of crazy spinning attacks. Not as good as the Greasus meat attack, where he gets his giant stick of meat, but, you know, not everybody can be as cool as Greasus. And Vlad actually finally caught in a bad situation. I mean, Streltsy are just last samuraiing him in the face. He is getting absolutely pounded by those Streltsy. Big, big damage. In the high ground, man, this is just such a dicey fight. Kossar's moving up, and these Zargard are still capturing it. But the doggos and these devils might actually give them the business. And the Vampires have actually passed me on points. This is getting really, really tense, guys. Warbear Riders have come back. I still have 6 of those bad boys, so they're going to be very helpful at fighting at the point. Kosovo Dervishes and Zargard moving in, while the Dervishes do shoot at the devils up in the sky, getting a little bit of damage, about 200-300 damage. On the low ground, finally the zombie summons are gone. Vlad chasing down the shooting, which I guess is better than him fighting on the point. And we still have 55 Zargard, and, you know, 48 of these Ice Guard Glaives fighting there. Those are good units. As far as magic, though, it's a shame that I'm out. Man, if I had some more magic, oh my god, the amount of punishment you could do with like a Heart of Winter right there. But Katarin's done pretty good this game. She's got 1200 value, give or take, from her Heart of Winters, and was able to kill some things. High ground objective being heavily contested, but I do have another unit of Zargard coming in. Kosovo dervishes, several units of Kossar, so really going to be going pedal to the metal to get these points, because it's getting danger close. It's getting really, really danger close. We need to get them off a little bit quicker. Zarina's going to be trying to help clear off some skeletons, although she's not great at, crowd clearing. But we do have some shooting on the other side. Streltsy ripping downtown into the Cryptors, and in the back, Kossar is getting some great value shots into these guys. They're at 15 leadership with a decent amount of HP. And Vlad's on his way back in, but when he retreats from the Streltsy, they're able to turn and shoot. And you can see this man is really not enjoying his life right now. He's on the run, and we will see what he can do for himself. So there he goes. The leadership is at 64. Up on the high ground, Kislev endures. The Zargard and the Dervishes moving in. And now I'm going to have some heavy capture weight, because zombies are expendable. Crypt Ghouls are the only unit here that actually have infantry capture weight. The Kossar Spears going to be rushing in to kind of block off those Cryptors and try and fight them. In the meantime, I'm doing some scooting and shooting. I know I need more capture weight here, but I'm kind of like, it's a bit of a value evaluation. I'm like, okay, maybe the Kossar shooting, I can actually like clear some of these units off, because he's just piling Cryptors just one after the other. And I start to realize here, I see my units wavering, Buyer Blood is procced. Zargard are capturing, but he has the capture weight, so I'm like, okay, it's time to go pedal to the metal. I got to get my dervishes up on the point, my Kossars. Down here, it's super hotly contested, but there's no reinforcements coming for the vampires, and if my Ice Guard can keep trading effectively, these Kossars are moving up. Streltsy, everyone's coming for the points here. I know, I remember people saying that objectives don't matter anymore, John, like when it first like changed. I'm like, dude, that is not true at all. The objective play is like super in focus right here. It's more so when it's close. I understand how that can be a thing if it's like, more of a one-sided game, but when you're facing an equally skilled opponent, it definitely is a big factor, right? Ice Guard's going to be moving up. So are the Streltsy, and we get the objective. So this one's going to be swinging for Orson. So we get it. Streltsy, battling combat against Vlad isn't bad, but the vampires are going to be 100% cleared off this objective here. But the problem is I still need a triple cap to win this game. He got enough of a point lead there that he was able to get that, so everything is going to be coming down to the tenacity of the Zargard up on the high ground objective, fighting against the hordes of undead, slowly clearing out the skeletons, barely taking any casualties in the process. More hounds moving in, and here comes the Kossars. The Dark Lords of Bicep Curls are here, but they don't skip triceps either. They're doing those. They're doing the tricep hammers as well. So the capture weight is for us. Undead do have some units coming in, I think. Yep, more Cryptors, more Skeletons. Classic vampire count goodness. But the capture weight looks like it's going to be going for us, as we do have a unit of Kossars hustling in here. He's trying to break my stuff off, but we're giving the Undead a taste of its own medicine. We're giving them a taste of unbreakable humans. So they're going to be staying, they're going to be fighting, and their capture weight is money. And that objective, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be swinging for the Ice Cart. Ice Cart? Ice Court. Zarina's, she's stoked. She's happy about this. On the low ground, it's still kind of contested with the Zargard's staying power and the Kossar's leadership, and the Streltsy, of course, are very good at fighting. They themselves could pile in and probably defeat these Graveguard with their great weapons, because they have great open axes, which is very cool. Zarina almost died. She almost got caught by Vlad, but she was able to get away with her ice skates. And at this point, we have enough to win on 2 caps, so it was mission accomplished here, right? We got Cryptors on their way in. Now it's time to just value trade a little bit, because I can just defend these 2 objectives. You see Vlad going over here for the objective theft, which was so funny. I did see it, and I was in chat with Subutai, and I was like, I see what you're doing there. Vlad coming to try and steal the objective, but we do get the Griffin Legion coming out for round 2. Gonna hustle over there, and that's gonna be the end of the vampire counts. Man, what a scrappy match. Thankfully, they ran out of steam, and we were able to get it. It just goes to show, Kislev is a faction that has a 30% win rate, right, in tournaments right now. Very, very poor. But like, even if I feel like one of Kislev's problems is good players don't really play them. Good players, like the really top players, are often going to be sweating pretty heavily with Warriors of Chaos, with Slaanesh, with Vampire Counts, with Tomb Kings. So, these factions don't really go explored, even though they have potential against some of the higher level matchups, right? Like Kislev has some teeth against Slaanesh by spamming, spear archers and decent quality infantry, but it's still heavily Slaanesh favored. But I actually think Kislev's not terrible against vampire counts. I was talking with Subutai after the game. He mentioned that, if we both kind of agreed that a flying vampire lord would be more problematic. Like a very well microed flying vampire lord probably would have been enough to maybe win him the game. It would have been close. But again, Vlad's also good too, because he's really hard to remove, and he just, you can't snipe him. He's just always there. So even him getting Last Samurai in the face like twice, he still lived. He's just an unholy menace. But yeah, GG, well played. It was a lot of fun. Look forward to kind of, picking up Kislev and playing them in some tournaments. I've been practicing them a bit. I usually just play Empire. That's like the only faction I play ever these days. But going to be trying to get Kislev down, want to get Dwarves down pat. I really like those kind of like gunline factions like that. And Vampire Coast is another one I like as well. But, I like to play the underdog. So we're coming in with these guys. GG, well played. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves, and Orson bless you all.